I used to do what everyone else was doing. People would give me like 15K budget, 20K budget, whatever. Here's these budgets. Go find the influencers. The one thing that we could do is get really cheap influencers and get really great views, that kind of stuff. But it felt a little wrong because it's not authentic. I was like, half of these guys, they're doing it for the paycheck. I could just dangle any figure. They're like, yeah, I love it, mate. It's the best thing since sliced bread. This is so sick. If I'm going to wave 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 in front of your face and go, will you make a few videos? Hell yes. To the influencers that are charging 10K for one video, what are you doing?
Welcome to Behind the Game podcast. Today we are talking to Callan Saurma-Jeltsch. He is the co-founder of Social Synergize, an agency for building influencer communities. Callan, thank you so much for being here. We are super excited to release this new podcast. We feel like we can bring a lot of good information to developers of all stages, whether they have a AAA title or an indie game just starting out. I know that you do a lot of influencer marketing. You are kind of changing the game when it comes to that. So can you tell me a little bit about the seeding and what goes into it and how it even remotely works?
Yeah, so seeding in general as a method is just about giving your product to an influencer. No strings attached, just for them to have some fun, enjoy your games, have some fun. That's the basis. It works great. The only problem with that is it kind of treats influencers as a single-use item in a sense. So you send them a product once and you won't always get all the reviews. So what we do is we like to call ours synergy seeding, where we focus on going further than that and building a relationship between the influencer and your game. So the main thing we want to do is find influencers that love your games for your games and not the paycheck. So that's kind of what seeding's all about. So it's kind of setting that scene, letting them get a feel for your game, what they think, what reviews, what you could add to your game for social media performance, or just in general ideas, and then getting some content from that. No strings attached, there's no push, but we just want to find those that love your games and we'll promote it for that.
Right. It's really interesting because that sort of affiliate marketing has actually been around for years, but mostly it's been more tailored towards retail. So, I've gotten gifted a couple shirts or whatever, so I could post it on my social media. But I do feel like it's kind of sort of new towards the gaming industry, though it makes so much sense to give them in-game rewards, or even if it's a Steam game, give them a Steam key so they can play for free. How do you keep them coming back? Like, okay, so they post one TikTok or one YouTube video, whatever. How do you get them to keep coming back, to keep posting?
Yeah, brilliant question. That comes back to the part where I say it's about building that relationship. So it's going further than that. It's listening to their thoughts, having communications with them. It's not requiring a lot of elbow grease. I'm not saying to sit down with them every week for an hour or two, but, maybe listen to their thoughts. If they have improvements for your game, maybe integrate a little bit of that. Talk about it, get their thoughts. You want to make them feel a part of your game and your brand. So that's whether you have the game now or games in the future, they feel like they're a part of it. And that's how you keep them coming back. It's going back to that point of not treating influencers like a single-use item. So it's not, here's one game, here's a t-shirt, here's this, here's some in-game loot. It's going further than that. You want to make sure that they feel a part. So I always recommend a member of the team just reaching out, brief email, 10-minute conversation, anything like that, just so that they are established with your brand. So they can see some face, get to know your team, and go from there.
Have you tested the success of like a seeding campaign versus a normal paid KOL campaign or influencer campaign?
Yeah, so a normal paid campaign, it's great. It's the normal method, but it only really works on a few examples. You need to make sure that the influencers, enjoy your game. Their audience will know if it's authentic or not instantly. They watch these guys all day, every day. So if they don't enjoy your game and it's not coming across well, that content is not going to perform. That's number one. The second part is who that audience is. Your game can be very specific to certain individuals. It's not going to match every influencer. So whether an influencer like that you could really like the content of, audience could be way off. The other thing to consider is platform. Not every platform will work the same. And even content types, so whether that is short form or long form. This is a lot of information that you need to have some sort of idea of. And if you have that big picture, then yeah, absolutely go for a paid influencer campaign, because you know what you're getting into. You know you're going to get that ROI, and you know that content is going to perform, and your game's going to be seen in the right light by the right people. So long term, yeah, absolutely. I'm not against it. I'm all for it. But seeding is all about finding this out now. Before you go into the big budget, before you rip out all that money, you kind of dabble in here, you find out what platforms are working, why they're working, what influencers are working, the whole shebang, and their thoughts. Who actually likes your game? Like I said, coming back to that authenticity, that is so crucial. So as long as you have those figured out, I highly recommend going for a paid campaign. But if you don't, seed, find out, get this information, and build that trust with your influencers.
I'm glad you brought up platform, because TikTok and YouTube, I'm going to just talk about these because these are the main platforms that we have been using within my own company. So TikTok is really great because the reach is astronomical. However, YouTube, I have found they have a more direct return in terms of downloads. So do you have any suggestions, ideas that comes to TikTok to increase that, return in terms of organic download?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are using TikTok for an influencer campaign, depending on your game, there's a few things you need to consider. If it's a mobile game, TikTok has a lot of regulations around that when sending people to the App Store. You need to be aware of that from the beginning. So TikTok's a great way to get the exposure, to get influencers creating content, but to get that real ROI, I always recommend placing Spark ads on top of content to track results. Okay, this doesn't require much. You can just press the 3 little dots on the more of an influencer content, get the key, put it into a Spark ad and test if you're doing a mobile app. But otherwise, if you're doing anything Steam related, PC or console, normal ways should work, whether that's sending to wish list your game on Steam or to the app, to the Microsoft Store or whatever platform, that's fine. But with mobile games, it's a little bit different.
I've seen many studios that all the time they assume that because of bringing a bigger influencer or bringing somebody with a huge audience, it's like, okay, we're gonna get a lot of in return, right? It's as you say that you have to find the exactly right influencer for accomplish what you want. And something that you say, this is like a win-win, right? Not only for the influencer, but for the studio as well, because they find people who become part of the community, and at the same time, the influencer finds something he can feel part of it. Would you rather suggest in a scale to start, like, for example, with Twitch streamers, give them some content, give them something to feel attached to the game? What are the best practices if you want to start from the bottom? Let's say you don't have a lot of budget, you don't have many users, but you're like, okay, we want to start doing this thing. There are a lot of streamers. What are the key things, and how would you start from that point to find something that suits your game?
You completely highlighted the biggest misconception in the gaming world or any influencer world, that follower size does not equal result. You could spend all your money on Mr. Beast, PewDiePie, these big names. But like I said, if that audience is not relating, then it does not make sense. If you are starting from the beginning, I'd always recommend, especially when the campaigns that I do myself, I focus on many niches and many platforms. So first thing is niche. You got to find out what type of influencers. There's so many genres in games, so you got to find out who's the most relevant. So niches could be anything, as in, mobile games. Is it cozy games, casual games? Are they mobile players? Action, shooters, male, female, demographics. You want to start wide, test, find out how each niche works in little segments, and then funnel it in and start this pinpoint now. But you raise an excellent point about Twitch and streaming. Like I said, testing all platforms is always great. So that's whether you have Twitch influencers, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, just like any other form of marketing, you always A/B test. It's always wrong. You can't put your eggs in one basket and assume it will work if you don't know So getting some influencers from all different pieces and going from there works great.
That's a good point, because sometimes you focus too much on only one platform, right? But right now you have so many options, and with the new rules from tweets that they don't have to be exclusive on tweets, they can stream now also on YouTube and do other things. Maybe that open a lot of options as well. Do you think the new rules from tweets and all this situation with the Prime and with Kick, do you think this will affect somehow to the gaming industry in terms of influencers, and maybe the streamers now ask for more money, or maybe they focus on other things or create a different content? How do you think that this will affect from an influencer standpoint of view?
I think it's great. The more freedom, the better. Twitch and Kick adding a bit of rivalry is great. It just means there's more options for influencers, different things for different content. You know, there's not going to be the same audience on all platforms. That's just the reality of it. So this is great for influencers. It also means they can be on multiple platforms. The thing is, social media changes so fast. Your Instagram can explode overnight. Your YouTube could, your TikTok is. If for an influencer, I would want to be on as many platforms as possible. So a little bit of knowledge here is Instagram is not very happy about TikTok taking all the market share. So they're actually boosting Instagram Reels more now. So I would always recommend posting on Instagram Reels a bit more. Or if monetary is a big thing as an influencer, YouTube pays the best for views. These are all things to consider, you know, and like I said, content type. So not everyone's going to be able to stream all day. Their audiences might not like that. You know, short form content is great, or even 10-minute videos. So I would want to be on everything if I was an influencer.
I have maybe not a hot take, but it maybe unpopular opinion. I think, you know, we have short form content, we have long form content in terms of videos, but I think Instagram used to be that picture, you know, content form platform. And I don't think we have that anymore. Obviously, you can still post pictures on Instagram, but personally, I like still images, and I feel like I am missing that in the social media world. So I feel like there will either be a new and upcoming platform, or Instagram might even tailor back towards, you know, still images, or even like stories are really big on Instagram. And I don't know if you've seen Snapchat is coming back. They're like, people will follow you on Snapchat, and Snapchat's paying these influencers to post on there. So, you know, Snapchat might be another interesting platform coming up here in the next couple of months.
I'm so happy you said that. Snapchat is going insane with influencers at the moment. They are paying so well for views. It's an incredible place for, like you said, still images, you know. But the one thing I would say with still images is it is for a more particular audience. The great thing about short videos and sounds, when it comes down to content, it tickles your brain in the right way, gives your dopamine going. You got big sounds, flashes on the screen, all of that keeps people's attention, which is really what you want if you're creating a video. But when it comes down to short posts and pictures, it still works absolute wonders. And I don't think Instagram's going away from it too much either. So if you are an influencer, still images still works great. But Reels, they do tend to post you and make you a bit more viral these days.
Going back to this, like the still images, do you think that could relate to the gaming industry? Because, I mean, you could take a picture of a video game, but, you know, that's not really showing a whole lot about the gameplay, about the music and the art style and everything else in it. So do you even think, if that does become more popular, do you even think that would be something that the gaming industry could, you know, take advantage of?
Okay, yeah, this is something I haven't really considered too much. It's such a great point, actually. Something to test, something to dive into. The only thing is with the video game that they're all aware is it's not so much of a still image unless you got 1 FPS and it's more like a slideshow. But otherwise, no, it's something worth having a look at. Do you know what? I think it's probably great to show more the real side of an influencer, maybe behind the scenes, then just a short image of them having fun or playing, maybe a bit with a setup. That could always be great. But I would still always recommend videos.
Yeah, I think also it depends a lot in the culture, right? For example, if you go to Japan and Korea, you're going to see a lot of influencers, etc., and K-pop artists and in images and posters everywhere, right? Because they're still doing that old school marketing campaigns. But then if you go more to the States or Europe, it's going to be more digital, it's going to be more videos, it's going to be fast content, videos of 15 seconds. But images for some audiences work really well, right? Because it also depends the lifestyle. If you're in the train, on the metro, and you see an influencer on a poster while you're just looking nowhere, and you see it, you see the QR code, you like it, you know the artist or you know the influencer, and you're like, oh, this game might be good, right? And you take it. So I think it's a little bit related with the lifestyle that the users or that specific country has. And apparently there it works really well. I don't know how that will adapt to the Western countries.
The one thing I can say, if you are releasing a new game, I would not recommend putting all your money into a single frame image, unless, like you said, it makes loads of sense and the audience is right. I would still recommend going down the video route at this point.
Okay, so maybe shifting the focus a little bit. So obviously the whole seeding campaign is to get influencers to post and become part of the community. But how do you have any tips to get non-influencers, just normal everyday people, to also post and create more of that user-generated content to maybe build up your hashtag or, area on YouTube or TikTok?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something I have done in the past, and I call it brand ambassadors. It's a great way to give them a little bit of a title. It's a way to give a bit of a relationship. This one does not require having to sit down and have a meeting. So you could make a little post saying, we're looking for brand ambassadors. We'd love to send you the game and get your information and give a little bit of bonus, like 15% off if you have a solid game, or maybe some in-game perks. That works wonders. So I did this in the past. I built up an ambassador program of over 207 worldwide for one brand. It works wonders, and it generates content really well. These aren't massive people or massive influencers, but they're super proud to be a part of your brand, and it's great. It's really great to get more content out there and to build that relationship. So I recommend creating some sort of brand ambassador. Give it an awesome title. Maybe call it after your game, anything like that, and just have a bit of fun with it. You don't need to unload all the perks. Just something unique and to give back to them.
Cool. In that campaign where you had, did you say 207 affiliates, did you see an increase in revenue and or DAU?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The one thing that we did do is it was a 15% off. So the real power of it was they bought the product and then they loved it so much that they decided to promote it. So it works absolute wonders. So you're giving a discount, you're building a bit of relationship. They're not only buying your products with the discount, but they're also promoting it. That is an absolute win-win-win. And it's even better for them because they feel a part of your brand.
Right. And if it's in early stages or you have a lot of audience, it can help you as well to get some feedback for the game. And because many times you need first-time feedback from the players, right? So if you make them the ambassadors, it's like, oh, we're absolutely part of the development of the game. We want to promote it because we love it, and we can help to improve it along the way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Think about it. If you do a kit campaign, I see this so many times with new indie games. You can buy little perks for a game coming up, different tiers and all of that. So when you're pre-ordering a game, you get all these nice little tiers before. But it's about doing something like that and then incentivizing a bit of content from that, so that if you post. So I say that this is what absolutely worked. This is how I generated the content from the brand ambassadors. I literally said this one simple line. It was, if you post any content about our game, we will repost it to all our socials, right? The Instagram didn't have anything more than 5,000 followers, yet people liked it. They wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to be shown, be represented. They feel proud to be on your pages. So that is the one top tip, that if you get them on and they purchase your game or download your game or use in-game perks, just say you'll repost them.
Okay, so I have another question. In terms of influencer campaigns, having people post for you, do you think there's a good frequency? Do you think one campaign per month, one per quarter? Do you think there's a not perfect, but do you think there's an ideal frequency?
Is this for like a paid campaign or just in general?
For either, honestly, for both, for paid versus seeding.
The thing is with seeding, that I would have that on at all times. Just keep it going. It's just constant data and research rolling in, constant analysis of your game, constant content. You're building up, these automatic content generators that are leaving reviews and telling you what's great about your game. Paid campaigns, if you have the data, go ahead, fire away, do it all the time. If it makes loads of sense, do it every month if you can. But only once you have all the data and it makes sense. Some people kind of try and say there's this promised land that these big influencers are going to give you this endless ROI stream. You're going to get so many downloads. I promise, I'm going to get you 1 million views. The video gets 30,000 views and like 20 downloads. You go, okay, that sucks now.
And then you see the video and it's not legit. You see the influencer and it's like, you can tell he doesn't give a damn, right? It's like, okay, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, this is the money, and that's it. You need to customize it more. And for example, there are some games in mobile that is more like lifestyle, when you to create your own character and you can get influencers on the game and everything. So you want somebody who's going to be part of the game. Like all this data, it's okay if it's worse, as you say, but you need to have the budget as well. And sometimes it's not even worth it. If you get the ROI and you're already a big studio, a big company, that's perfect. But if you're starting, you need to get more, you need to innovate a little bit more when it comes to do these campaigns, because it's not only about the budget, it's not only about the data, it's, as you say, it's about the relationship from the game with the influencer, right?
Yeah, building a relationship is so good, especially if you're a new studio. You're going to have these guys forever as long as you take care of them. That's whether it's your first game, second, third, fourth, fifth, it doesn't matter. As far as you grow, they grow. You want to keep them staying with you. This is why some games do so well. So companies like Fortnite have their creator code where people get paid as an affiliate thing. But they even do send out some gift packs to some of their top influencers to keep them keen, do all these events, invite them to stuff. It's how they keep them creating. Their audience loves their content. That's another big one. Once you find these individuals and their audience is loving it, the influencers loving it, it's great. So that's what it's about. It's this long-term relationship.
Just one curious question. Yeah, this is personal. I'm more thinking about, okay, I'm creating my own game and I want to start. And I get the data from all the YouTubers, influencers, streamers. What's a good range in number of followers to start with that, it might be, you might get a positive response, right? Because you're not going to go to a guy with 100,000 views and try to get it for codes or to get it so involved. What would be a good number to start in terms of followers or in terms of how big the influencer is?
This is actually a brilliant question. With seeding, you can actually get almost anyone. We've had people with 250,000 followers say, yes, sign me up. That's the thing. If they love your game, it doesn't matter how big they are. They really like it. They enjoy it. Another big part of being an influencer is you get paid for how well your content does. If your game is bringing them brilliant content, of course they're going to keep playing it. Think about the amount of influencers that aren't get paid to promote a game, but they're hopping on following the trends, like Power World recently. Everyone's promoting Power World, right? For free, because it's a content line, right? So when it comes down to influencer sizes, it does not matter. You'll find all kinds of people. But yes, there is a common trend that micro influencers are more likely to sign up.
Yeah, many games create their own influencers, right? Like Polwar, for example, and when it was COVID and everyone was playing Among Us or then Minecraft. Like, for example, here in Spain, I think this happens as well in the States, but we have a lot of series from Minecraft that are like 1 week duration and they have to do different quests and it's among the streamers. So if it's powerful enough, it's going to be everything organic, and maybe some of them even they're going to start a trend, like only go up a few months ago as well, that it went crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I the one thing I preach from the top of my lungs is that games like recently the Finals and Power World, their success, these are indie games, well, not the Finals, but Power World is an indie game. They do not have the AAA marketing budget, yet they broke Steam records. It wasn't because they put up YouTube ads or Facebook ads. It's because the influencers were going absolutely crazy over this. Their organic outreach was insane. hashtag Power on TikTok has blown up. If you had a look at how many millions of views it got in a short period of time, you're going, okay, they definitely didn't pay for that, right? This is the absolute power of it. Their influencer community is huge. The only thing I would say to them is they better take care of it before the game falls off and keep them happy.
Right. I will say about Power World, though, it's a great game. So, if you do have a great game, it is a lot easier to get those influencers to work with you and to get that hype on Twitch and stream and YouTube and all that good stuff. But I've already kind of slowed down playing Power World. So, yeah, definitely they need to take care of them and introduce new content and, make sure that they have something that these influencers and players can keep coming back. So, but Power World, very fun.
Yeah. And it's a good example of how that one picture worked, because I remember years ago when they just paused the picture and you could see all these like similar to Pokemon and everyone was talking about, so they knew that they wouldn't need anything because everyone was talking about. Then they released the trailer and people were like, okay, I'm gonna put my hands on as soon as it's out, right? Because you want to. But yeah, definitely it's hard to, like, Minecraft is okay because they kind of recreate series and they do a lot of things. It's like, I don't even understand and I don't even know how they do it, but it's hard to keep it up with the trend with so many influencers, so many content, so many games, and so many possibilities when it comes to create content in videos or streaming. So it's like you gotta keep it up, because at the end of the day, it's gonna be like an arc that was popular and is still popular, but may go down. And of course, keeping 2 million, it's a little bit delusional if we think about it. And that happens a lot with numbers with the streamers, right? They do a huge event, 500,000 viewers, 300K. The first days of the event, it's going great. But then, the second time, you're going to have 80K, 100, which is still great. But it's like fake numbers, right? The numbers that we see when the team explode.
Question for you. What do you think about giving early access? Like creating this big hype event around this game before it's actually released. Kind of like what they were talking about with Power World, but instead of just like posting pictures, you actually let these influencers try the game. And theoretically on Twitch, you all play at the same time. So the game rises in the ranks of the top games on Twitch. Do you have any insights for that? Any tips how to get that to actually happen?
Yeah, absolutely do it. If you don't send influencers your early access, what are you doing? It costs you nothing. Top tips, if you want to find these guys, you'll find emails and bios and YouTube's abouts everywhere. Just send them a little email, send them a DM on Instagram, whatever it is. Just absolutely do it. It won't take you a lot of time. A lot of these guys respond really, really well to this stuff. Who doesn't respond well to free stuff? Especially a new game. So absolutely do it. Send it to everyone. Find the emails from heaven above and just go and send it out.
So don't be shy, and the hustle will be like the key number one key to all the studios that want to jump into more getting with streamers. Do you think, like, just another question, do you think like you should look at a calendar of new releases or trends or like hashtags that are trending when it comes to do your campaign, to take it in a way that you don't have so many other things or many other games trending? So maybe it's a good moment for you to be more successful. Do you do that, or it's something that it doesn't really matter?
I don't think it matters too much. At the end of the day, these are the influencers creating the content and posting. So these are the guys that are doing all that legwork for you. They're keeping relevant. They're keeping on top of all of these things. That's why when I say we're seeding, it's good to build that community up on all kinds of platforms, content types. It keeps you ahead, keeps you knowing what trends are going. You're going to have some influencers doing well. Some will then die off a bit, and then some will do well on another platform, another thing. That is my other secret top tip. If you have this community that's creating content constantly, you'll know what's doing well. You'll stay on top. So there's no need to do too much legwork and keep on top of trends, because otherwise you'll go insane. There's so many a day, appearing everywhere, from memes, sounds, nonsense. TikTok, now no longer licensed with UMG, which means loads of sounds on the platform is gone. So there's going to be trends making fun of that. You know, if you're going to try and stay on top, you'll go insane. But having that influencer community will kind of do a lot of that legwork for you.
When you're reaching out to these influencers and you're sending them the emails, do you have a draft of an email that you kind of just send out to a bunch of people, or do you tailor these emails specifically to these influencers?
If you are sending this out to micro influencers and you got a huge list, if you got an absolutely massive list, then you don't need to tailor it too much. A lot of these guys, you can literally just send, give a smiley face, a nice little intro, and they'll happily reply. But if you are into wanting to get some macro influencers, some bigger people on board, or just some particular streamers you really like, absolutely tailor it. Yeah, watch some videos, talk about it, say that you enjoy their content. They're going to resonate. Who doesn't like a little bit of personalization? Absolutely do it. It's just adding to building that relationship. It shows that you care, especially about their content and who they are. So absolutely do that if you want some guys in particular. But in general, don't have to do it too much, but I do recommend it if you're looking for a few certain people.
Do you recommend that you should hire a dedicated outreach person, a BD person? Is that something better than that would be like an ROI? What are your opinions on that?
So in terms of outreaching to influencers, it is quite a full-time job if you're trying to get a lot of these guys on board. Unless you want to deal with like 200 emails a day, I recommend it. They do great in terms of responding, a lot of influencers. So unless you want very full inboxes and you have a community manager who's ready to step up and deal with it, I recommend having some people involved.
Cool. We're probably going to start wrapping it up, but if you have any last advice, tips, tricks, ideas, things to say, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, one thing is, don't be fooled by agencies and influencers. I'm going to get hated for this, but they're going to sell you this promised land of ROI. I keep coming back to this. Prices are rising. I keep seeing it. Average fees for an influencer video is now at $1,200, right? I've analyzed hundreds of these guys, and that's from micro to macro, and that's for one singular TikTok video, okay? So things are getting more expensive. If you're a new brand and budget is tough, have a look first and watch out for fake followers. It's becoming more clear. So many more people are buying followers and even views. Be careful. Make sure you go into this right and make sure you get that full audience analytics. They can even be a little bit sneaky on that. So make sure you know what's coming up. So to make sure your budget gets used properly, make sure you have all of this information down.
Good to know. Very cool. All right, I'm going to leave you with one lasting question. But first, of course, thank you so much for being here. I know you are a little young, but if you could go back in time, you had a time machine and you could give yourself a cheat code to your future success, to where you are now, what would it be?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Brilliant question. For me, it's take that risk. This is a little cliche, but do what you want to do. Have fun with it. The success comes. All right. Do what you love. Do what you enjoy. I love being with influencers. I love games. I love indie games in particular. So I love being here every day. So no matter what it is, take that risk. Ignore whatever you're doing now. Go pursue what you want to do. The success will just come if you stay with it. I promise.
So basically, follow your dreams.
Yeah, but be a bit more smart about it. Don't, if your dreams are a little bit silly, maybe a bit realistic. But yeah, absolutely.
What's your coolest project?
I love sim racing stuff. That's a little bit picky. So I've done a bunch of sim racing videos, content, promoting that kind of stuff, getting people to race. I've actually raced against real racing drivers at events because of this stuff. So that's always fun, getting to have a go against the real proper guys. So I'm a little bit of a motorsport nerd when it comes down to it. So that's always my little favorite stuff.
You said you love gaming and like the industry and stuff, but how did you decide to get into influencers specifically? Like, how did you decide, like, wake up and be like, I'm going to make an influencer agency, but do it differently than the rest of the industry?
Yeah, it was just me and my mate playing Rainbow Six Siege, having a conversation. Yeah, we should definitely do this. What should we do? Oh, yes. One of our friends happens to be in Game of Thrones, and he's an influencer. It's like, yeah, he's an influencer. We know how much money that guy is making, and it's pretty cool. Let's do that ourselves. I got to that point, I used to do what everyone else was doing. People would give me like 15K budget, 20K budget, whatever. Here's these budgets. Go find the influencers. The one thing that we could do is get really cheap influencers and get really great views, that kind of stuff. But it felt a little wrong because it's not authentic. I was like, half of these guys, they're doing it for the paycheck. I could just dangle any figure. They're like, yeah, I love it, mate. It's the best thing since sliced bread. This is so sick. If I'm going to wave 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 in front of your face and go, will you make a few videos? Hell yes. To the influencers that are charging 10K for one video, what are you doing? Half of you guys are not getting the right views. I swear, someone quoted me 20K yesterday, quoted me 20K for one video. He's not even getting 50K views. I'm going and say, this is exactly why I do seeding now. No more. Just no way.
How do you look into their demographics and their analytics to make sure you don't get scammed by these influencers and agencies and all those people out there?
Yeah, we got some in-house software that we probably paid a bit too much for. So let's sort of dive into that and have a look. So, but be careful. It is a bit of a catch, but most of these guys are legit. Most of them won't fool you around. But if you do send them an email before saying like, yeah, we're targeting the America, this demographic, they could do a little bit of changing. So a little cheat code is ask for it first and then say that. Don't do it the other way around. Otherwise, you'll get caught by the fakers. Because, like I said, you dangle 5,000 in front of them and they will bite.
Noted. Got it. Well, Callan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out, talking to us about influencers. One of my favorite topics of discussion, that in video games.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate it. I'm just a big indie game fan.
Thank you, everybody, so much for watching and listening. Make sure to follow along for future episodes and like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you again soon.